no matter what parents we had, they told us this thing over and over and over again, and we just didn't listen. Our desires, our wants, the things that we aspired to be able to grab a hold of are at the end of this thing that our parents kept telling us over and over and over again. But most of the time we wouldn't apply. Then we get mad at everybody else because we say, hey, this person is getting that. This person is getting that. What about my desires? What about the things that I would want? Well, it's amazing because as we look through in Proverbs 16, it unfolds the blueprint in simple terms that when applied will bring peace, joy, and contentment in any state where you're at. Plus, it'll let you know of the one thing that if we applied it, everything else would come into fruition. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
My parents told me, my brother tells me, my friends have told me, my wife has told me, sometimes my kids have told me, my daughter probably told me last night. This one thing that most of the time I don't apply. And I'm sure that you've gone through this too, where we have this thing that a person keeps telling us over and over and over and over again. And we hear it. Sometimes we listen to it. We entertain it in our mind, but we don't apply it in our lives. And this is just one word. That's the crazy thing. And as I look back on it, I was hearing this, but I heard it in a tone that was sometimes aggressive, sometimes a little sad, sometimes, and most of the time it was in a place where it wasn't what I wanted to hear. And that one little thing was the word, listen. My mom would say, listen, boy, or she wouldn't say, boy, that was my pop. But my pop would be like, listen, boy, and then he would tell me something. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. My mom would say, you just need to listen. Whatever. But imagine if that was the key to unlock every single thing, the wants, the desires. Everything in our life is unlocked by that one word. If we just sit in and we listen, but we got to be conscious of what it is that we listen to, because there's times where we listen to things that we shouldn't be listening to. But that's why we test things, right? So just recently, I got a chance to be able to sit down and listen to Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas because he was on the podcast. It was amazing. Got to sit down with him, 6-time Grammy winner, 18 years sober. The guy he's a 14-year cancer survivor and one of the top 5 best-selling artists or groups in the last 20 years. And I got to sit down and I got to listen to him. And I got to listen to him about, he gave advice to my kids, McKenna and Maddox. And it meant so much to me because not only did he give that advice to them, but he spoke directly to McKenna, my daughter, who's in theater. And he was saying that theater and drama and, performance and all these things, they translate into so many different aspects of life. If you haven't seen that podcast, you need to go and check it out, Taboo, and then go and see Speech too, because he's from Arrested Development. And I got to sit and I got to listen to him. And this is a guy that has a song in the top 500 songs of all time, 2 Grammys, amazing human being. But it's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to listen. When you listen and then you apply that and you start to work through it, it's incredible. Now, I didn't really have to check the receipts of Speech and Taboo because they're already there. But listening to them talk about their journey was absolutely phenomenal. Well, in Proverbs 16, it unfolds the blueprint and it gives it to, we're going to go rapid fire today. And if this is the first time tuning in, I want to welcome you. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and we do 3 types of shows on the podcast. One, I do interviews with some of the most iconic people, like Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, like Speech from Arrested Development. We've had Switchfoot on. We've had Eddie George. You name it. We've had it. John Gordon. So we have a plethora of different interviews of some of the most iconic people in the world, and they all give advice to my kids by name. Other times, I go a commentary like today, where we go through and I break down how 3,000-year-old wisdom can apply to today. And so in Proverbs 16, it unfolds the blueprint in simple terms that, when applied, will bring peace, joy, and contentment. I don't know anybody that doesn't want peace, joy, and contentment. Like, imagine if we could have that. Now, what is joy? Joy is not happiness. Joy is the art of falling in love with your current circumstances and allowing magic to happen. Contentment is being able to be present where you're at. And peace, honestly, that will pass all understanding. And imagine if you had all 3 in your life. In verse 1, 9, and 25 of Proverbs 16, listen to what God says as opposed to what you want to hear. Listen to what God says as opposed to what you want to hear. Sometimes this is the most challenging. I had a little experience with my daughter last night, and she's been going through it. She got braces for the 3rd time. She didn't wear retainers. Now, in my head as a father, I wanted to say to her, well, the reason why you're wearing braces for the 3rd time, number 1 is, like, we have to pay for them. But number 2 is because you didn't wear your retainers. You didn't do what you needed to do. So you had, I found out last night that when my daughter is sad and she's in a place where she's not feeling beautiful, she doesn't need to hear why she's wearing braces. She just needs to hear that she's beautiful. And I learned that the hard way because I didn't listen. I wanted to teach a lesson. She wanted to hear from her dad that she was beautiful. Failure as a pop, absolutely 100%, but I learned, and now I'll take the time and listen. In verse 2, God is only concerned with your heart. In the Vibe method, if you're not familiar with it, it's taking your heart, which is your belief system, taking your mind, which is your intentions, and taking your skills, which is your actions, and aligning them. But God's only concerned about your heart, because if you get your heart right, then your intentions will become right, which is your mind, and then your hands will move according to your heart and your mind being in line. And this is what we work with companies, and helping them to understand that their culture comes alive, their leadership comes alive, and guess what? Their revenue goes through the roof when all their people are aligned. So in verse 3 through 7 is God provides an unfair advantage. Anytime you're spending time with him, you're going to find that he gives you an unfair advantage in every single thing that you do. In verse 4 and 5, God is big enough and in control if you allow him to be in your life. Now, this is the thing. My pop said, how big is God? He would always say this to me. He would say, boy, how big is God? And I say, I don't know, Pop. I knew the answer because he told me 100,000 times. But I would say, okay, Pop, how big is he? And he would say, he's as big as you get out of the way and allow him to be in your life. God is big enough and in control if you allow him to be in your life. And he's patient. God is patient, but he's calling you. He's calling every single one of us. And he's just calling us to obedience. And that obedience, when we spend time with him, then he'll give us wisdom, which is the right use of knowledge. Then he'll bring knowledge in. Then he'll bring understanding, insight, discretion, discernment, discipline, strength. And that circle, guys, will help you to be able to succeed and give you an unfair advantage in any single thing that you do, whether it be personally, professionally, spiritually, or financially. Bang, bang, biggity, bang. In verse 6, love and faithfulness are undefeated, and God is the ultimate gangster. Love and faithfulness, imagine this, they're undefeated. Like if you add love and you add faithfulness to your words, to your actions, to the relationships around you, love and faithfulness, these things are undefeated. And when I said God is the ultimate gangster, is because God has all the power, but he doesn't exert it on you. He doesn't overlord it on you. And some people are like, oh, God is punishing. No, God loves you at the highest level. And a gangster doesn't hurt you because he knows he can. He has the strength to be able to do whatever in your life, but sometimes he allows you to be able to go through a certain situation. But God is the ultimate gangster. And in verse 8, 16, 19, and 32, a little with God is far greater than abundance without him. Self-explanatory. In verse 10, God's words are power. God's words are power. This is incredible because even a person who says, oh, I'm spiritual, not religious. And by the way, I'm not religious at all. Religion is man's way of trying to get to God. Relationship is spending time with someone. I'm just a proponent of spending time with God, like spending time with him one-on-one. And when you do that, you'll see his words, his actions, they're in line always because he doesn't lie. And so that will happen. And when that happens, then you'll gain respect, which is the fear of God. That'll bring wisdom. Wisdom will bring knowledge. Knowledge will bring understanding. Understanding will bring insight. Insight will bring discretion. That'll bring discernment, discipline, and strength. And that will shore you up in every area of your life. In verse 11 through 12, honesty is God's work. Whew. When I read that and I wrote that, I read Proverbs, I read Proverbs 16, and when I did, and it said God's word, or it says honesty is God's work, or God's words are power, right? God's words are power, sorry. And then honesty is God's work. Think of that. He always wants us to be honest in every single thing that we do, in our words and our actions, personally, professionally, spiritually, financially. Honesty is God's work. In verse 13 and 28, speaking life is invaluable. Speaking life to every single person, place, and speaking life is using someone's name specifically what they did in your life to inspire you. When you do this in an organization, we built a multi-million-dollar organization based off of this. We would take 15 seconds every single week. We had at the top, we had 80, 85 people in our company. They would all get 15 seconds. They would have to say someone who inspired them, and they would have to say their name and exactly what inspired them in 15 seconds. This will change a culture. In a business, if you're in a business right now, you own a business, this will completely change your culture. Speak life into people and do it as often as possible. And do it into situations too. Always keep it on the positive. That's what my brother says. Big Rob, I love you so much. In verse 14, wisdom is undefeated. Wisdom is the right use of knowledge. It comes from the fear of God. Wisdom being the right use of knowledge, there's no reason to go get knowledge or understanding or insight if you don't have wisdom and you don't know how to use it. Wisdom is undefeated. In verse 15, wisdom brings favor. Wisdom always brings favor. And it is one of the strongest things and most valuable things that you can ever invest in. Doing right wins always. That's verse 17 and 29. See, this is the blueprint. This is the blueprint for us. It's mapped out. Where pride goes, destruction follows. Whenever your pride goes high, destruction has the tendency to come in, and that's verse 18. And as we finish up today, watch this. To trust God requires that you first listen to him. You see, our parents said over and over and over again, listen, 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 listen. And that's the thing, one thing that we didn't apply, that if we did, all the rest of the stuff that we desire comes into fruition, but we get our focus on the desires, we get our focus on our wants, we get our focus on all these other things. And what God was saying is, I put your parents in your life to teach you a lesson. Even if you didn't have the greatest parents in the world, I still think you had the greatest parents in the world, because we can learn lessons from anybody. And so watch this. To trust God requires that you first listen to him. And if you listen to him, it means that you spend time with him. Your heart determines your words determine your actions, and your actions create your results. What is your heart listening to? And that's just the question as we go right now, as we take off, is what is your heart listening to? My heart last night was listening to my own desires when I sat down with my daughter and I wanted to teach her a lesson about why she got braces for the third time and all these things, but I didn't listen. I didn't listen to the 16-year-old girl who's sitting in the bed and crying because her first day of school, she goes with braces on she got him the day before and she didn't feel great. And what she wanted to hear was, "You're beautiful." That's it. But I didn't listen. And imagine if all the desires, all the wants, all the things that we wanted within our life and desired within our life are at the end of that one thing that we have the tendency not to do very often, which is listen. I hope you have a phenomenal day. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.